Check out Agent Gold AI for game-changing AI tools for YouTubers.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have here with me Damon today, who is been in the NLP scene for a long time. And one thing that really surprised me when I looked at his channel was I looked at the oldest videos, and it said 9 years ago. And he was giving a speech for like a couple of people, and he was like presenting something. And I'm like, this man has been doing this game for the last like 9 years. And that is something. That consistency is something. And today what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be diving deep into behind essentially the curtain, behind the scenes of how he makes his YouTube videos, and whether he has a team behind it, how this entire like content production system works, because he is also someone who creates like short form content for other platforms as well, and how he has built an entire business out of this, as well as just his tips on how he can grow as a small YouTuber. So Damon, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, gentlemen, one thing that we talked about right before the show is that I was actually going to hide until the show, but let's just say it either way. So when I'm inviting guests on the show, what I'm doing is I'm watching their channel, obviously, and if I'm looking at if they are, if they can be good teachers for YouTube growth. And one video that I was watching from Damon was the video that he made, it was titled, Don't Fall in Love with a Stranger. No, Don't Fall in Love with a Foreigner. Yeah. And in the video, he was the marriage video that they had, like the wedding video. And you guys, if you watch my channel, you know that I have like a gym that I always go to in like Istanbul, in Üsküdar. And this man right here literally got married next to that building. And I'm like watching this video, just, learning about Damon, learning about like understanding what I can talk with him. And I've seen this man literally get married on the street I walked like at 150 times every single day at 7 a.m., which was like just very mind blowing to me. Like, this is a very small world.
Yeah, that is amazing. But that must be some synchronicity going on here or something.
So, Damon, let's actually take this to the beginning of the game. Let me ask you this question. How did this like journey begin for you? When did you start like actually doing YouTube? When did you take it seriously? Or when you began, was it serious, or was it like, yeah, I'm gonna do this as my like full-time job? How was this journey for you? Tell us a story.
Yeah, it's interesting because I had no idea what it was going to turn into when I started it. The video that you're talking about from 9 years ago, I didn't even actually post that video. I had a business partner when I first started teaching NLP, and he had already had businesses. He was online with his businesses. So when we started teaching these workshops, he just automatically started a YouTube channel and threw that video up there. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. About a year passes, he drops out of the business. He's still a friend of mine and an entrepreneur. So I was going to him and saying, like, how do I grow my email list? How do I get people to show up to my trainings? And this went back and forth for a few months. And finally he said, Damon, you've been to film school. That's what I have my degree in. He said, why don't you just do YouTube and maybe even try doing like a video every single day? I've heard of other YouTubers doing that, and they built a following. And so I said, all right, well, I've got nothing to lose here. I was an insurance agent at the time. I hated insurance. I took a step in that direction as an entrepreneur because I wanted freedom. I didn't want to have a cap on how much money I could make. And my father was an insurance agent, still is. And he provided very well for our family. So I thought, well, I'll just do the same thing. Well, it's very different for me than it was for my father. And I just really didn't like insurance. And I knew I needed to find something else. And around that was NLP had helped me sort of figure that out. And I fell in love with NLP. I had a real passion for it. So I was like, yeah, I could do a video every single day. And at the time, because this was 8 years ago when I decided to do a video every single day, YouTube was really rewarding lots of content. So if you started putting out content every single day, I don't want to say it was guaranteed, but there was almost a guarantee that at some point you would cross a threshold and you would break through, and YouTube would start putting your videos out there. Now, 30 days into making a video every single day, and I did everything. I wasn't scripting at the time, but I would shoot the video. I think of a title, and I wasn't even doing thumbnails at the beginning. I'd shoot the video, it'd take me about 2 hours to edit it, and then I would just throw it up there. And I just did that every single day for 8 months. And around the 8-month mark was when I really sort of broke through, and I started getting an average of like 1,000 subscribers per month. And I suddenly had a business. Now, it wasn't all smooth sailing after that, there was a lot of ups and downs. I was trying to figure out, okay, so what do you do with a following? What's the best thing to do once you have a following, and how can you monetize it? But that was basically how I started. I started doing a video every single day until I almost burned out. 30 days into it, like I was saying before, I really wasn't getting any subscribers. I really wasn't getting any views. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I either need to quit and put this effort somewhere else where it will pay off, or I need to learn a few things about YouTube to get my videos seen. And there was a guy named James Wedmore who did have a program on how to grow your YouTube videos. It coincidentally popped up on my Facebook feed. It's so weird how that happens. You just think about something you need, and suddenly an algorithm from some social media site throws a product in front of you. So I saw that he was putting on a webinar. I clicked on the webinar. I took the webinar, learned a good bit, and I was like, just tell me what to pay, because I needed relief from the pain of putting so much effort into something and not going anywhere. So I bought his program and started learning. Now, pretty much almost about 60% of what you would learn in that program now would be completely obsolete. I don't think the program is still out there. People are thinking they want to buy it. There's many more updated YouTube programs that you could get. But what that also taught me was this needs to be a learning process. You can't just say, I'm just going to throw content out there and then think it's going to work, or even finding a good strategy to make it work and then just thinking that strategy is going to work for forever. That's just not how YouTube or any platform works. The platforms evolve as people evolve from their watching habits or their clicking habits. Everything is evolving. So you got to stay on top of that stuff. You got to keep learning. Just like continuing education is, you would see in another field. When it comes to YouTube, you definitely have to continue to educate yourself.
So I got actually two questions on my mind without the script man. And the one thing is, when you're a business owner, the same thing right now as well. When you're doing something, when you're investing time and attention into something, you're expecting that to pay off, right? And at the beginning, when you are doing like this with YouTube, what happens is you are putting time and attention into this, and it's not paying off, And obviously, it's like, if my channel is having that problem, it's my fault because I'm not making good videos that people want to see. And you went through that as well. What would your advice be to someone, they're making videos, but they're not getting results, and they're thinking about whether they should keep going and, should I do this? Should I not do this? Because if I do something else, shiny object syndrome, I might get better results, but they're not consistent. What would you say to them, for example?
It's a dynamic combination of experimenting, making sure you're also doing things that you want to do, because the only way you're going to sustain this long term is you have to enjoy it. Like, if you really don't enjoy content creation, or you do enjoy content creation, but you're trying to be like other YouTubers and you're really not enjoying that, and most people don't, it's not going to work. So it's this rather delicate balance of, for me anyway, talking about things and making videos that I want to make, and trying to combine that with what the audience wants to see. Because I've made plenty of videos that I really enjoyed making, that I wanted to make, and I thought was important for people to know, and nobody clicked on it. And then I have kind of gone the route of, I'm making this video really only because somebody else did something similar and it was very successful, and I need a win here. And that didn't feel very good either. And it's just not sustainable. So it's always about, for me, trying to find the perfect combination of making videos that I enjoy making, because that comes through. Like, I think the viewer can tell, maybe more unconsciously than consciously, when somebody's really enjoying what they're doing. And then it also has to line up with, well, what do people want to see? So if your videos aren't getting views, you might want to ask yourself that question. Am I really just making this video for myself? I'm not really thinking in terms of, well, does anybody really want to see this? And if so, how do I know that? And doing a little bit of your market research to know that this is actually something that people are looking for, people want to see. And then there's always that rare instance where you can show somebody something they didn't know that they wanted. And that's usually where you make a really amazing video. You make a video that you want to make, that people aren't really looking for, but it's because they didn't know they were looking for it. And when it shows up on their homepage and they see it, it's sort of like, oh yes, I didn't know I was looking for that, but I want to watch that video. don't expect that every time, but I would say try to aim for that from time to time. And then sometimes you just want to make a video because you know people want to know more about it, and you have that expertise or you have some knowledge about it. So make that video, and go ahead and get those views, even if it wasn't the video exactly the video you wanted to make. So you kind of have to try out a lot of things. But I'd say the most important thing is that you have to enjoy this process. You will not last if you don't enjoy the process, and it takes at least a year, I would say, if you to really get some decent results. If you're not getting results in the first year, it's fine. Like that's part of the game. That's part of it's a learning curve. It's figuring out your audience. It's figuring out your own voice. That's another one. Figuring out your own voice. That's one that I've had to sort of recalibrate, because as I've been doing this 8 years. Over the 8 years, I've changed. So am I still being true to what I'm putting out there? As my voice is changing, or as I'm changing, is my voice changing along with everything else? And for a long time that wasn't happening. I stagnated during the pandemic. I was just on the brink of doing an overhaul on my videos and my channel and really changing things up when the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, it kind of turned everyone's life upside down. It actually benefited me because people turned to YouTube and a lot of personal development and self-help stuff. So my videos really took off, and I wasn't doing anything different. And I didn't understand it at first, but I just thought, oh, it was finally, all this work is finally paying off. But it was just that people were at home and they had nothing better to do. And they wanted to, when the pandemic was over, feel like they bettered their lives somehow. And so it made me lazy, unfortunately. I didn't upgrade my videos. I just thought, oh, okay, everything's working great. I can, put attention somewhere else. And then when the pandemic ended, I realized, well, YouTube had actually changed, and I hadn't. I had changed, but what I was putting out there hadn't really changed. And so it was time. It was time to find myself again. And that took on about a 2-year period of I felt really, really lost. And the content I was creating it just was not me, and it was better content, but it wasn't really my voice. And I even as of last year, I quit for like 6 months, and I enjoyed the break for so long because I had not ever taken a break doing YouTube videos. And so I went 6 months without making any videos. And my business partner, my wife, was kind of like, hey, you think you're going to get back to this at some point? Because we need, it really fuels the business. And I thought, yeah, you're right. At 6 months, I was like, if I don't get back into this, I'm probably not. And not put too much pressure on myself. And I got back into it, and I just fell in love with it again, and found my voice again. And so that's another thing that I would recommend to people is there's a certain amount of imitation you should do. That's your market research. See what's working out there when it comes to titles, when it comes to thumbnails, when it comes to the scripting and the quality of your content. You have to do a little bit of imitating other people who are successful. But at the same time, it's so important that you find your own voice, and that can take years to do. And it's an ongoing thing. Like, don't think that, you've arrived at some point. If you're doing this right, you're evolving every step of the way, which means your voice will evolve. And I can teach a lot of things about YouTube. I can't teach someone really how to find their voice. It's really something you have to do on your own. Now I can coach people and say, okay, I don't think this is really your voice, and what I'd like to see more of is this, and try that out, or try this out. But there's no handing it to someone. You really have to discover it on your own.
Okay, got it. I think that's pretty valuable advice, man. And what I feel like is, and also with the people that I'm coaching on YouTube, they come to me and say, for example, I feel like a fraud. And they say, for example, I've been putting out this persona, which generally it ends up being, when you're trying to educate people on something because you want to build a business out of it, what happens is you are making it seem like you are at the end, you're in the end of the journey, and you're trying to, sell something probably as well. And they get sick and tired of that because they say, bro, I haven't even achieved that myself. And I'm trying to like monetize upon it. And that's what makes them feel like a fraud. And literally the word fraud, I got it from like 2 clients of mine. and they said literally I feel like a fraud, and I'm showing like this persona that's not me, and it's so not like consistent. And those are the people who have like the more losing their passion for YouTube, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, that's not sustainable if you feel like a fraud. What I tell people is you don't have to be the expert in the beginning. Enjoy creating content, and that might be whatever expertise or whatever context or industry that you're looking to make content in. You don't have to start off being the expert. You can start off with, hey, this is my journey. This is my journey that and I'm sharing this with you as I'm learning it. And then eventually you're going to learn it even better, and you're going to get better at it, especially the more videos you make about it. And eventually you will become the expert. That's kind of how I started. Hadn't been learning NLP for very long, but I was very obsessive about it, and I was doing it every single day. I was practicing it every day, and I was starting to teach it. And I remember thinking that I was going to learn this even better if I taught it. And that's almost true for almost anything. When you teach something, even if you don't know it well, you start teaching it, you learn it that much better. What I also knew is I could explain these concepts, these NLP concepts, even better than some of my teachers, because when I was kind of done all the trainings at an institute, they would often ask you to be a resource coach. And I was definitely interested in that. So you're not really a teacher. You're there to support the students. You don't have to pay, and you get to sort of retake the course again. So that was good for me. I wanted to retake everything. And I got to function kind of as a coach and kind of as like the default teacher whenever the students had questions. And what started to happen was after the lecture was given by the teacher and we would take a break, I would get a small crowd of students coming over to me and saying, can you help me make sense of what the teacher just said? And so I was getting into a habit of having to sort of explain in different words what the teacher had just said. And what I started to realize was the teacher knew more than me. The teacher had been teaching this longer than I had. But the more successful you become, I even heard this just recently from Jason Fladland. He said, the more successful you become, the more disconnected from your ideal customer you become. So I don't remember as much as I used to how painful it was, the position that I was in of hating my business and not having this business up and going yet. And there was so many uncertainties and so many fears about, well, what am I going to do next? Is this going to work? All those things. And now I'm, years away from that. So I don't have that experience as much. So my ability there was I'm the bridge between the student and this teacher, because I'm more connected. I got one foot in where the student is and I have one foot in where the teacher is. And I thought I can probably build a channel off of that by basically what I also understood too was most people after an NLP training, they really don't understand anything. They're handed a certificate. They're never tested on that, on their skills, their abilities, or their knowledge. NLP doesn't have like a governing body that decides what really creates a certified practitioner. So the certificate served as kind of a false sense of I know something, but you really don't. And I knew that. So I thought I'm going to make videos explaining NLP concepts in a way that people who have even taken NLP courses will hear me and go, I've never understood that. And now that you've explained in this video, now I understand it. That's exactly what I was going for. And it worked. Even to this day, when I meet people, like I even meet NLP teachers now when I go to conferences, and they'll come over to me and they'll say, I really wanted to say thank you for your videos, because when I was in training to learn NLP, I didn't understand half the stuff that the teacher was teaching me. So I went to your videos, and it was your videos that really taught me what these things actually meant, these concepts. And now they're NLP teachers. So my thing was, well, why didn't you come and learn from me? Why did you go spend thousands of dollars learning from someone who you couldn't understand, and you continued to keep going back to them, but you came to my videos for free? Maybe you should have brought that money to me and learned from me, and you would have understood everything, so you wouldn't have had to go back and forth. But things are how they are. That teacher must have gotten to them first, or whatever. But I think you can start your channel and just have a clear idea of like, well, what do I understand very well And even better, what do I understand very well that most people don't, or most people who are trying to understand something in this industry that, I get this and I can explain it well. And it doesn't have to be big. It can be, I'm amazed sometimes how I can explain some of the simplest things that I would think that anyone would understand from reading a book or going to a training or watching a video from one of my competitors, but they don't. And I just break it down and make it really simple. And they go, wow, like, so finally, somebody's making sense of all this. I didn't understand it before. So trust that there's something there. If you've been studying something, if you've been working at something, even if you're not an expert, you probably do understand something very well, and you probably can explain it very well. And you can explain it in your own voice, which is going to be different than other people's voices. And maybe that's the right voice for a specific demographic or a specific viewer. So, don't count yourself out because you're not an expert. What I would say is don't pretend to be an expert when you're not. Like, that, not only will you feel like a fraud, but somebody might expose you as an actual fraud, especially if you become very successful. The more successful you become, the more you're going to get people who are trying to look into what you do and expose you. So the worst thing that you could do is, and this is why I don't agree with fake it until you make it. I think that's one of the worst pieces of advice people give. If you fake it until you make it and then you succeed because you're faking, then you're a successful fake. It doesn't become real. Like fake confidence doesn't suddenly become real confidence. Fake confidence will always be fake, and real confidence will always be real. So what you want to do, what you can do with your videos or your YouTube channel, is just make it a journey, a learning journey, and be honest about that in your videos. In the beginning, you're inviting the viewer to share that journey of yours to becoming an expert. And then in a year, 2 years, 3 years, you will be an expert. And if you built a following of people who have followed you with your journey, they're going to feel like they know you. They're going to want to invest in you because they feel like they're part of your story and part of your journey. And I get people who, tell me they've been following my videos for 8 years and they finally decided to come and do my training because it's just something they always wanted to do. And finally they're stepping up and doing it. And they're really excited because they feel like, they are a part of that journey. And you can see I've left all of my videos up. So you can see me at my worst, making my worst videos. It's all there. I left it up on there on purpose because I like to go and look at that and see the evolution and see the journey. And I encourage people who are thinking about starting YouTube and they think they have to have it all figured out on their first video. And I'm like, no, you just need to get in there and start creating and go back and look at my videos from 8 years ago. And that will give you some inspiration. You'll see I was bad. I was terrible at it. And over time, I just got better and better because the more you do something, the better you become at it.
Yeah. So I think what you said is we can summarize it as by saying there was a demand for people who, they weren't getting an LP fully, but at the same time, the teachers weren't really explaining it that well so they could, get it. And there was a demand for great explanation of that, and you fulfilled that demand. And I think that that's what people should be doing in terms of like YouTube nowadays as well. Like look into whatever the niche you're in. Let's say the person is in the fitness niche, right? What is something that people are not doing nowadays, but there's a demand for that? It might be, for example, in the fitness niche, not like a jacked guy giving fitness advice, but it might be a guy who is very fat and who's saying, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to make a video every single week on what I have done. And then what happens is, a year later, he loses 1 kilo a week and he's like 50 kilograms lighter, and like he just pops off now. The channel becomes very wide now, and I think people should be looking at it as like, where is demand that's not really supplied, and how can I essentially do that for those people, and thus I can find my own like voice and audience there.
Exactly. Start where you are. If you're not an expert yet, that's okay. Then your videos are about where you are now and what you're learning now and how you're gradually becoming an expert. That's fine to do that. Yeah, I don't think putting that pressure on yourself that I have to be an expert right out the gate, you're never going to start, or you're going to do a lot of faking. And like I said, eventually that collapses on itself. That's not a long-term strategy. It's not a success strategy.
Yeah. Damon, what I want to do is I want to talk a little like about the behind the scenes of your own content. So when you think about the content creation process from A to Z, it starts with like, for different people, it might start from like different places, but it starts with like coming up with a video idea that you have. and then in the end, you publish the video that you publish the creation that you made. Now, from A to Z, how do you come up with like titles? How do you come up with thumbnails? Do you script your videos, or are they like just fully like filmed however you want? Do you have a team behind it of like editing? How does that creation like process look for you?
Yeah, so maybe if I kind of explain what I'm doing now, I can explain how I arrived here a little bit as we go, because I wouldn't recommend that anybody listening just imitate what I tell you. I mean, unless you're completely clueless and you just want to try something on, and this is like your first place that you're starting, so you're saying, okay, I'll just do what Damon does. I guess that's fine, but always be doing it as, and how I do it is not the right way to do it. It's just what I'm finding as working best for me. And I don't know that this necessarily would have worked well for me all throughout. I'll give you an example of what I mean. I do think I don't edit my videos now. I outsource that, but for a long time I did it for years. And I think there's a lot of value in editing your own videos, especially at first, because with that first 8 months where I was making a video every single day, I was doing all the editing, which meant for 2 hours, it took me approximately 2 hours to edit these videos. I had to watch every mistake that I made over and over and over again. So it was so drilled into me, the mistakes that I had to watch, and I would cringe as I was watching it. So that whenever I went to shoot a video the next day, I was like, okay, I'm sure as hell not going to make that mistake again, because then I'd have to watch it again for 2 hours over and over as I'm editing it. So, and I didn't even have to do this so consciously, like unconsciously, it was in there. So I was improving my performance, I would say, in front of the camera every time, with every video, because as I was editing, I wasn't just seeing the mistake once. It's easy to overlook a mistake when you see it once, but when you're editing, you have to see it over and over and over again. So I was making a lot of self-corrections rapidly. So when I'm recommending, when people first start doing content, I recommend that they edit, because you want to see those mistakes. You want to correct them very quickly. If you're outsourcing them to an editor, that editor is probably going to try to cut around those mistakes and make you look much better than you actually performed. And so you're not really paying attention to those mistakes, therefore you're not correcting them. I think maybe after you've done several videos, I say at least do 30, but I think it'd be even better if you did maybe like a year. And then, so how many videos would you do in a year? Let's just say you do one a week, so that's 52 videos. But there's that span of time where you've had time to sit with this, time to edit your videos, time to watch the finished product, and eventually it's really going to get inside of you what is good and what is not when you're performing in front of the camera, and you will make a lot of those corrections just naturally. So I think the learning curve will be faster if you do it that way. So I don't edit now. I found an editor on Upwork, and you want to try out a few editors. Like I don't recommend just going off with the first editor you find. I really lucked out on the editor I found, but I looked at his stuff first, and I just had a feeling this is the guy. And I hired him for the first. I hired him for the first video that I did, and he did spectacular. And I was just like, okay, this is only going to get better. And I could tell by his attitude and everything that this was going to work really well. So since the beginning of this year, I've been using the same editor. And when you get to the point that I'm at now, where I want to produce a video every single week, 2 scripted, 2 live streams, I really need to outsource the editing, because I spend a lot more time on scripting now. I spend a lot of time coming up with the title and the thumbnail, because that's at least 50% of content creation on YouTube. If your title and your thumbnail don't get attention, it doesn't matter how good your video is, nobody's going to watch it. So I do outsource creation of the thumbnail, because when we started realizing, when I started working with Ed from Film Booth, that was the first thing he emphasized. He's like, you got to really work on these thumbnails. And my wife was interested in doing it at the time, because she had been making my thumbnails previous to that, and so she was going to level up and really create even better thumbnails, learn how to create better thumbnails and do it. And you want to create your thumbnails first before you create the video. And the reason for that is, first of all, you want to put a lot of focus and attention on your thumbnail, make it a great thumbnail, And when you make a great thumbnail, then you have to really level up the production of the video. That script has to be as good as your thumbnail. The production of the video needs to be as good as your thumbnail. So it has a tendency to make you really want to level up. Also, if you make your thumbnail after you create the video, it might not line up as well. And if the thumbnail and the content, especially the intro, doesn't line up together like really, really well, it almost has to be 100%. It's going to kill your retention. People are going to jump off your video if they feel like the thumbnail pointed at something, set an expectation, but then they get into the content of your video that's not really going to, and they get a sense that it's not going to fulfill that expectation, they will jump off. If your retention is bad, your video is going to die because the algorithm pushes videos primarily based on retention. Because if there's no retention, they can't run ads on your video. So you really have to make sure that those two sync together. And it's amazing to me because I've been off about that, where like we had a really good thumbnail, really good title, really good video, but there was a little sort of dissonance between the title and the thumbnail and what was in the video, and it just killed the retention. And I was like, I made a great video, and it's like, it doesn't matter. The thumbnail and the title set that expectation, and if you don't, even just early on, the first 30 seconds, if they get the feeling that this is not going to fulfill that expectation, the person's going to jump off, and it's very competitive now. So I was a little hard on my wife, demanding that she'd make incredible thumbnails, and I'd have her remake the thumbnails, and then I was getting frustrated because I didn't want to start the scripting process until she was done with the thumbnail. So I felt like I was having to just kind of wait and hold my breath. And then it got to where we were only making a video a month. And as a result of that, all my metrics started to drop. My watch time started to drop. My views started to drop. And I was trying to figure out, does YouTube punish people if they don't, put content out there consistently? And I went to Vid Summit and I was asking this question, and over and over and over again. And YouTube consultants, like people who work from YouTube, said, we do not punish people for not uploading consistently. But something was happening. And I think about it like this. If you're not uploading consistently, it's sort of like if you're waiting in a line and then you get out of that line. Well, it's not like that spot is held for you. The person behind you steps up in that place. And that's how YouTube works. So if you're not creating consistently, or you're not creating consistently enough, that means that other content creators are taking your position, in the sense of, like, if normally the algorithm would throw you up on someone's homepage, we call that browse. If you're not putting out consistent content, it's going to be sending other people's videos to that same person, and then you become less important. And I've noticed this with other content creators who I kind of become dependent on their videos showing up on my homepage. And if they don't, I might go months and months, and I go, hey, whatever happened to? And I'll go look them up, and they've got several videos. The algorithm just wasn't sending them to my homepage. So not uploading consistently will do that. So I was like, okay, I got to get back to uploading consistently. This could potentially cause problems in my marriage. So we need to outsource this. And I was also a little concerned too with my wife. Like, she works very hard, and she does when she works in the business as well. And I didn't want her to feel bad that, like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna let you off this project, and we can put you on something else, but this isn't the one. So I found a good person to make, I think this was on Fiverr, found someone who consistently is putting out really good thumbnails. And but even still, even if you outsource thumbnails, don't expect the person creating the thumbnail to create the perfect thumbnail that's going to get you all the clicks. They can make a great thumbnail. They're going to make a great thumbnail based on what they feel is good, but that might not sync up very well with your video. So there's a thumbnail creator, and then there's a thumbnail designer. And I do recommend that you be that thumbnail designer, because you're the one creating the video, and you need to communicate what needs to be in that thumbnail, and you got to be willing. And this is another thing: if you're hiring someone to do thumbnails for you, say it's on like Fiverr or Upwork, make sure you hire someone for whatever they're charging you. They will give you unlimited modifications to it, unlimited what's the word I'm looking for?
Changes.
It's where you have people redo it. There's a specific word. Okay, I'm not gonna hold everything up trying to remember that word, but you got to be able to go back to the person and say, okay, this isn't quite right. We need to change this or we need to change that. You need to work with someone who's willing to work with you on that. And because I almost never take the first thing that they give me and say, yeah, okay, this is the right thumbnail. It's like, no, we need to go back in. The more you fine tune that thumbnail, the better most likely it will become. And it can literally mean the difference between a video that is viral and or a video that just completely dies and never goes anywhere. So yeah, I outsource thumbnails. I outsource my editing. I really enjoy the scripting. And I think that's the other piece to this too. If you really enjoy editing, don't outsource the editing. Do the editing if you really, really enjoy that. I just know, and I actually do enjoy editing, but I know that my attention, my efforts are better invested in the scripting. And that's also something that I know I have lots of room to get better at. So I want to focus on that more. I also like the old style that I used to do videos where I didn't script and I just sat in front of the camera and talked this out, and which requires more editing because you're gonna go on more tangents and going off in different directions, and you really do need to edit that stuff out because that'll kill your retention as well. So this is why I do live streams, and this is also a way that I can put out consistent content. So when somebody sees that it's a live stream, they sort of understand that you're not going to be so on point all the time. You will go on tangents a little bit, and some people really like that. So I feel like I'm giving my audience two versions of me. One which is like a 10-minute video that's well scripted, well produced. I try to give the viewer everything that they could possibly need to feel informed and also enjoy the video. And then every other week I do a live stream where it's a little more relaxed. I'm not as polished. People understand that. But it also just helps, like I said, it's staying in line, making sure that the algorithm is pushing my videos consistently and I'm not stepping out of line. So that's why I've decided to do the strategy that I'm doing now. But that does, and also I love teaching live. So live streaming gives me that feeling again, and I love writing and scripting, so I get to do both. And that's the thing that I think you're going to hear me say this probably repeatedly. You got to make this process enjoyable, and so the more you do that, the more it will come through in your videos. But it's also what makes it sustainable. It's going to enable you to do this for 10 years, which I think that's what you should be shooting for when you get into this. Be thinking in terms of 10 years.
Right. So one weird question that I have is strictly, before you upload a video, do you have like a feeling of, I know this video is going to perform well, or I know this video is not going to perform well? Can you guess it beforehand? Because in my videos, like, I can guess sometimes. I know that the video I have, for example, this is not going to get a lot of views, but we created it, we're going to publish it. Do you have that feeling before the video,
I used to have both of those feelings years ago. Because I didn't really have a sense of what was going to be good. I didn't study or I didn't research the market as well as I do now. I also didn't have a collection of videos to base things on. Once you've been making once you've made like over 1,000 videos, you kind of have an understanding of what you play well in or what people expect of you and that sort of thing. So in the past, it's been a little more iffy. But at this point, I don't think I would upload a video if I really didn't feel like it was going to perform well. I would say, okay, why do I feel that way about this video? And it's time to go correct that. If it's in the production and the scripting or something like that, then I'll reshoot the video. I don't think I've done that at all this year. But I would do that because I just, it's not worth it if I don't think it's going to perform well. I don't want to put it out there. And it's not because of anything like embarrassment or I think I'm going to lose my following or anything like that. I put out really experimental stuff that I enjoyed making. But I wasn't worried about like losing my audience. It's more about why would I put something out there if I think it's going to fail, or I think it's not going to do well. I just wouldn't do it. I would modify it until I feel like it is going to be a winner. So when I put videos out now, this is the hard part. This can be soul crushing. You have to really find your balance with this. So every video when I'm about to put it out, I feel like this is the best video I've ever done or close to it. Like I really feel like this is a really good video, and not always does it perform well. And that like the video I released, well, I did a live yesterday, but the video I released last week, I thought that that was going to be a banger. I thought I did everything right on this video, and it did well. It just didn't do as well as I wanted it to, or as well as I thought it would. So yeah, that happens. But yeah, like I said, I put too much effort into these now that I always feel like it's a good video that's going to do well.
Okay, that's interesting. So, one thing I want to ask you is, so you've been doing this for a long time, right? You've been doing this like the last 8-9 years, and I actually had this like question in literally the podcast outline. What would you do if you could go back like 2 years ago and tell yourself, what would you change? But right now, what I'm not gonna ask like 2 years, but like, what if you could go back to the beginning of this, right? And you could have like a 5-minute conversation with your like a younger self when you were starting to play this game. What would you tell them? What would like the couple of first advices be?
I knew you were going to ask a question, something like this. Even though it had been painful at times, when I look back on it, I actually did a lot of things right or well, and especially because I didn't know any better. I think so. The first 8 months where I was just doing a video every single day, that was good for learning fast. I think I should have switched up strategies more quickly. Maybe after doing it for 6 months, maybe slowing it down and saying, okay, focus on just making a very good quality, one good quality video a week. I would have probably, that probably would have been better to start doing it that way, because YouTube was changing. Like you could get away with that, lots of content strategy for probably the first 2 years that I was doing. It's like 2016 to 2018, and around 2018, 2019, YouTube started to change, and it became more about quality. So I should have changed at that point. That's probably the point where I'd like to have that conversation with myself and say, hey, okay, you're doing this as a business. It is fueling your business, and you're leaving, I left behind my insurance business to do this full time. That would have probably been a good time to really focus on the quality of my videos, which would have taken more time. And instead, I went the route again when I left my insurance business behind and I was doing this full time. That first, what I decided to do was go back to quantity, because I still didn't understand how YouTube was changing. So I hired an editor at that point, and because there was no way I could do 2 videos a week and run the business and everything. So I decided to do 2 videos a week because I wanted to up my bringing in leads. And that's when the first time I outsourced to an editor, and that shouldn't have been the route that I should have gone. If I'm looking back on that, I should have just said, okay, no, just do one video, and I can outsource an editor. That's fine, but let's just do one really good video that gets a lot of views. And I think I would have been better off at that point had I decided to do it then. It's hard for me to have regrets, though. I can always look back and say, yeah, I could have done this better or that better. But looking back on the journey, it has been such a rewarding and fulfilling journey of ups and downs, learning about myself, being humbled, thinking, I have something when I really don't, having to learn that and start over, in a sense, feeling like I'm starting over again. So yeah, there's been a lot of challenges, and I'm really happy that I struggled and went through all those challenges, because it really has been a very rewarding and fulfilling journey, even aside from the fact that, it fuels a business where I have a business partner, we have employees, doing better than I've ever done, and I get to live the life that I want to live. So it just makes a lot of sense that I would put a lot of effort and attention on the thing that is really making all of that possible, which is my YouTube channel.
Yeah. One question that I have for you, this specific, going to be a good question for you, is because you've done this really well, I guess. Not I guess, like I've seen it literally on your channel. There are different types of like people who are starting on YouTube. Some people, Damon, have like this idea that they want to be YouTubers. They don't want to be like a businessman. They don't want to be like an entrepreneur. They're like, I'm gonna make my living from like YouTube, right? And there are some people who are like, I want to build a business and I want to market this somehow. And why not building a personal brand might be a great way to do this, because I'll be more reliable and I'll be like, okay, this is what I sell and this is like what I teach, right? And they can connect this. And that's the kind of like what you are doing. What would your advice be to someone who is an entrepreneur, like in the blood, not like a YouTuber, but like an entrepreneur? And how should he position himself in the market because he's just starting out, and how he should, go with like making videos to drive more leads into the business? The goal, maybe he might not want to go viral. He might be like, I'm just getting 1,000 views per video and I want to get like clients to my business. I don't really need going viral. Like, what would you say to those people?
Well, I think it's absolutely true. Like, you don't need 100,000 subscribers on your channel, and you don't need to get 10,000 views per video to run a 6-figure or even 7-figure business. It's amazing how much you can leverage a very small following if you're doing the right things. I think for someone who's an entrepreneur and who's thinking about starting a YouTube channel, it goes back to what I was saying again. You got to want to do it. Like, my business partner, it's not his thing. And one of the reasons why he wanted to partner with me is I'd already been on YouTube for a while. I'd already had this business. I was already doing it without, I'd already left my insurance business behind. And for him, it was a good fit, because if you're going to partner with someone in business, I see this as a big mistake as well. Two people partnering who have all the same strengths and all the same weaknesses. Like, that's not a good partnership right there. You want to partner with someone who's strong where you're weak, and where you're strong where they're weak. And my business partner right now, it's almost a perfect fit like that. This is not, this kind of thing that we're doing right now is just not his thing. And so, but it is mine. And so it works together really well. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're feeling like, I have to make YouTube videos, but I really don't want to, go find someone else to be your spokesperson. Like, why put yourself through that pain? Secondly, if it's painful for you, you're not gonna last. So it's not a good strategy for you to do it. But if you enjoy making content, it is a great way to drive your business. It has absolutely blown my mind, and how well this has worked. And at the same time, I don't feel like I'm fully leveraging the potential of my own channel exactly where it is now. Like, not even if I didn't grow more than what I am right now, I know there's still potential out there that I'm not leveraging, and that's just something that I continue to learn and focus on. And so let's go back to your question. What was your question again?
The question is more like, let's say there's a guy who's an entrepreneur in the blood, and he also wants to do YouTube. Like, it's not like he doesn't want to do YouTube, but okay, how would he drive more leads into the business and like actually get people to like sell? But at the same time, he doesn't really want to like seem salesy all the time, right? What's the right balance, for example, here by giving value versus, also asking for, jab, jab, jab? What's the right hook?
Yeah, so I set the expectation early in my channel, not right away, not right when I started creating videos, but probably about 6 months into it, that this was a business and I wanted your email address, So I would put what we call lead magnets. So it was basically, I'm explaining an NLP concept, and, I would tell the person, okay, but if you want a PDF on this, on the instructions, go to the description, and I still do this to this day. This is how we generate
first
leads.
link. Yeah, I know. Your description.
Yeah, and so you want to emphasize that it's free, because you don't want, if the person thinks that you're charging for it, they're probably not going to click on it. But if it's free, they'll click on it, and then you get them on your email list, and you nurture that list. You put out good information, free information that they like, and so they want to stay on your list. And eventually, they begin to really trust you. And when it's time to sell a product, I rarely sell straight off of YouTube. It's usually through an email, and then through a webinar. So it's like from email, we say, okay, we're going to do this training, and it is a training. I do teach on it. It's not just a straight sales pitch all the way through. I'm going to teach something in a webinar, and at the end, I will give an offer. Every once in a while, you're going to have some trolls come on here and say, well, if I have to give my email address, it's not free. And then I just tell them, I give away a lot of free stuff. If all you have to do is give me your email address, and then you can jump off my list or whatever. If that's all and you can't give that, you're in the wrong place. Like, if you don't appreciate what I do, there's, go somewhere else. And I've told people that. So I set the expectation that, yeah, this is a business. I give a lot of stuff away for free. And if all you ever do is just take advantage of my free stuff and you never buy anything from me, I'm okay with that. That's fine. That's part of the game that we're playing here. But some people are going to buy, and I want to make sure that they know that that opportunity is there and that I present the opportunity to them. There's, are you familiar with the channel Yes Theory?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I remember watching them whenever they were the group of guys doing crazy stuff, and then eventually kind of got pared down to just two people. I stopped watching them at that point, but my wife continued to watch them, and they ended up putting out a course. I think it was a YouTube course. Now, don't quote me on any of this stuff. I didn't actually look into it. Just going by what my wife told me, which means I could get some of these details wrong. But if I understand correctly, they decided to finally make a YouTube course. They had never sold anything before. They had never asked their audience to give them their email address for any lead magnet or anything like that. But they suddenly come out with this YouTube training to help people have the same kind of success that they've had on YouTube. And their audience totally rejected it and were so angry at them for trying to make money off of what they were doing. And they ended up retracting, as I understand, ended up retracting the product. Now, so what is the difference between them and me? Well, they never set that expectation. And they could have probably started doing it gradually and slowly and over a period of years, so that by the time they finally released a product, it wouldn't have been so shocking to their audience. But they just attracted a kind of audience, and where they've never nurtured that audience to expect that they would sell something, so they outright rejected it. And I was thinking, wow, I'm really glad that I didn't do that way. I've always been open that I'm about being a business and wanting to grow as a business. And at the same time, like I'm also okay if you just want to take advantage of my free stuff. There's nothing wrong with that either. I don't have a problem with that. It's just when people get upset with me because I'm not giving them like everything for free. Like when I tell people like that, I say, so do you go to grocery stores and when they're giving out demos, like they do that with, food, do you get angry at them when they don't give you the entire meal for free? It's like, no, just appreciate the sample and move on if you're not going to buy anything. So same here, appreciate what I'm giving you. And if you're not going to buy, that's fine, but don't complain about it. It really depends on how you set the expectations. And when you start attracting customers, I would think of them not just as a business, but also as a community. You're cultivating a community. Think about it that way. And then within that community, some people will want to buy stuff from you and go further with what it is that you're teaching. And some people won't, but that doesn't, they're still get to be a part of the community. I would think about it more holistically like that. Like let everybody who wants to be a part of the community be a part of the community. And then just let them know if it angers you that I sell stuff from time to time, then you're not right for my community. You don't have to buy anything, but if it angers you, that's not the community I'm creating here.
Got it. Makes sense. So one question that I would like to ask to like the people I'm interviewing is, let's say, you built a great business out of your YouTube channel and like your social media, and that's like how you're living. And these people like get really inspired by that. And they're like, oh, I can teach what I love and make money out of it. So let me start my channel. And
first of all, before you say any more, I'm going to say this is the most amazing thing in the world. Like it is my dream job. And I didn't even know it was my dream job. And because like I said, when I was your age, YouTube didn't even exist. But for those of you who are listening to what we're talking about here and you're thinking of this as being a dream job, it is amazing when you finally get here and you're able to do this. I travel the world because I don't have to be in a specific place like an office. I don't have a boss. I love traveling and I get to do all this and I get to make videos everywhere that I go. I live part of the year in Romania where my wife is from. We have a house there. Like all of the things that I dreamed about, I live now. And the crazy thing is, it's because of YouTube. That still just absolutely blows my mind. Anyway, I just had to say that because I really do love what I do. And the just being able to do it, I just fills my heart with gratitude.
Now, exactly after you say that, people will start their channels and live like I want to live that lifestyle as well. Like I want to, do something that I love and hopefully make a buttload of money with it and then travel the world. I can do what I want, right? And right after that, 2-3 months will pass, and they will consistently upload videos. They make a video and they pour their like heart and soul into one video, uploaded 12 views. 3 of them is their own Gmail accounts. And
I've been there.
and they do this for some time, and months pass, and they've been like putting work into this, and they're not getting results. What should they do? Should they go for someone who can coach them on stuff, or should they try to improve some stuff, or they just gotta stick to it? Like, what's the advice then?
Yeah, reach out. I think there's definitely courses out there that can help a lot of these people. And which course is better? I'd say usually what probably will work for you pretty well is if there's a YouTuber you watch and you, for whatever reason, you just really drawn to their videos and you feel like they teach whatever it is they're teaching very well, and they have a YouTube course. Like, I'm giving an example. Haven't taken his course, but Ali Abdal. I don't really watch his stuff, but I'm fascinated by him because he's so successful, and what he does is, I mean, he does very, very well. I really respect him. His flavor of content is just not quite my style. But so if you're watching him and you always watch his videos because you really like his videos, and he does in fact have a YouTube program, there's a good chance if you resonate with him that well that you're probably going to get a lot out of his YouTube program, and not because he's saying anything better than anyone else. It's more your speed, it's more your style, it's more your voice. And there's also a possibility that it might not work out for you that well, and that somebody else's YouTube course is even better for you. But anyway, I would go with that as a possibility. And if you're early on and you're not having much success, the courses are typically cheaper than trying to get consulting. Consulting is expensive. When you hire someone to actually like go over your channel, go over your videos, and go over your your script and your editing, and that is very, very costly. I would not start there. I would start with, how much can you learn? First of all, how much can you learn for free on YouTube itself? I've found some amazing things where I was like, I didn't know that. I've been doing this for years and I didn't know that. And just by listening to good people out there who are teaching YouTube. So take advantage. There's a lot of free stuff out there. The good thing about a course is it sort of gathers all the best of the free stuff and it puts it into a course for you. And you should absolutely pay for that. There's nothing wrong with that. And because they're cheaper and you can go over them over and over again. And usually, like going over a course like 3 times, even the third time, you're still going to get stuff that you missed the first and the second time. So I think that's a really good place to start, and you'll probably get a boost. And that's exactly what happened for me. I took James Wedmore's course. It doesn't even exist anymore. He's still out there. I learned a lot from him. He has another course out there too. Maybe I should get an affiliate with him. I'm using it, but he had another course called Business by Design, and after doing his YouTube course for about a year and it really working. I didn't go viral, but it really helped me. And then he comes out with this course called Business by Design, which is how to, from start to finish, create an online business. And I jumped in that because I was completely clueless. It's like, I don't know how to do this stuff. And that course, again, helped me put it all together. So there's a lot of great courses out there, and you can learn from and really get moving. And then there will come a point where you'll get stuck, where everything you learned in the course, you've taken full advantage of, you're leveraging, and you're ready to get to that next level. Then that might be the time to hire a consultant and, go with that. It's also good to just reach out to someone who's has a channel or has the kind of success that you want to have, who's not too big. Because if they're really big, you're never going to get to them.
Yeah.
I've tried that. I've tried interviewing really big people on my channel. I say big, but like we're talking like 500,000 subscriber type people. And they're just really hard to reach, and they're very busy. But if you see someone who's like at 50,000 subscribers and you're at 1,000 subscribers, reach out to that person. You'd be surprised at how much time they'll be willing to give you and talking to you about what made them successful. Because a lot of us really enjoy talking about this. As you can see, I really enjoy talking about this. When you hit me up to do this, I was like, yeah, absolutely. I love talking about this. And I don't get many people asking me about YouTube. I do get some, but on podcasts, it's usually about NLP and personal development. So I'm happy to do this and talk about YouTube. So yeah, reach out to people who have, look at wherever you're at, look at the person who's doing a lot better than you, but not so high up there. Like, even if you even if you found somebody who would speak to you that has like 5 million subscribers, uh, there would be so much of a gap between where they are and where you are that what they would tell you would probably be useful and helpful to an extent. But actually, the person with the 50,000 subscribers, while you're at 1,000 subscribers, might actually be able to help you better because they're closer to where you are. And so there's more of a bridge of how to get from where you are to where they are. So reach out to people. Don't be disappointed if they don't respond to you. Everybody's busy. Everybody's doing stuff. Don't get discouraged, but there's help out there. So don't, and this is a lonely job. It's in some ways it's very isolating when you have, when you're seeing some success on YouTube and you talk to your friends about it who are not YouTubers, you inhabit a reality they have no idea about. And like, I have a lot of friends who tell me about that. They're like, I don't understand what you do or how you do it or any of those things. They're usually are kind of impressed, but it's so foreign to them. So it's hard to connect with people who don't do this. So find your tribe or find a mentor, find someone to give you feedback on why maybe your videos aren't performing the way you feel like they should. And just keep that going. Keep reaching out to people. And community is huge. So if you can put together a community around this, you'll evolve much faster that way.
Damon, I feel like this was a very valuable conversation for someone, who wants to build a channel, as well as for someone who wants to monetize that and learning your story. I love to finish off the podcasts by asking the guests like this one question, which is, let us, the viewers, keep you accountable. Where should we see you a year from now? In your business, in your channel, what are you going to be busy with? And let us keep you accountable. Where are you taking this rocket ship?
Wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting that question. Where do I see myself in a year? I think my first thinking is making much better videos than I'm making now, even though I think I'm putting out my best work right now. I feel like I have a strategy and I have a renewed joy for this that will probably make the quality of my videos a lot better. I think that's also going to increase the views, but maybe not that much. Maybe not, and that's the other thing too. We get caught up on views a lot. If you're finding the right people, like I would gladly take 10 views from 10 of the right people, meaning people who really fit with my community and my business, than 100 views from people who they're never gonna really connect with me and stay in my community and all that. So it's really about finding the right people. So I'd love to say like, oh yeah, a year from now, every one of my videos getting 100,000 views within the first week that they're published. I would love that. I would even love 10,000 views like that. But I think where it's probably healthier for me to put my attention is just in the quality, making videos that once you start watching one of my videos, you just can't stop watching it. Like it's just so interesting, and so that's where I want to go. A year from now, let's see what else. A year from now, my business is actually going really well and is growing really fast, and I don't know if wanting something like a business to grow faster than what it is might be one of those things that's like, careful what you wish for. When your business grows, it's good. Just know that the problems grow along with it. So you don't want to grow too fast and the problems get out of control and you can't fix them fast enough. So you want to be a little more measured when it comes to growing a business. And consequently, because the channel is the thing that really grows the business, that's the same thing. Like if I just suddenly started getting 100,000 views on every video, we would have a new problem to solve. I'd be happy to go after that problem and try to solve it. But
yeah,
that would blow things up quite a bit, and it would be a little chaotic for a while. So I think I'm at a place in my life, and maybe I'm just getting old too. I'm a little more. I'm happy with measured growth, somewhat aggressive, but not crazy blow up growth. over a period of time. That seems to be more manageable, more sustainable, and just overall more grounded. The other thing that can happen too is this stuff can go to your head as well when you start getting a lot of attention. Well, let me ask you: have you ever been recognized in public
Yeah.
for your videos?
Yeah.
Isn't it weird? It's so weird. I mean, now I'm okay with it, but like the first few times it happened, because they feel like they know you, and I don't know who they are, so it's this weird kind of mismatch.
Yeah.
And recently, it's gotten easier. Like I got recognized in Romania, which really surprised me because my videos are in English, not Romanian. And by that time, I'd been recognized enough times that I was kind of comfortable with it. It was okay. I've been recognized in Sweden in a subway. That
Well,
fine, but it's just really takes you off guard. But and yeah, this stuff can go to your head. You can get kind of an inflated ego when people start to watch your stuff and say really nice things about you, especially in the comments and that sort of thing. So you have to stay grounded with that. And it's not surprising to me when YouTubers blow up and then they fall apart really fast.
Yeah.
Because they just haven't really had time to sort of build up internally who they need to be when that happens. So I don't think I necessarily want to blow up, but I definitely would like to see my videos hitting 10,000 views in a week, and then eventually getting to the 100,000. But in 1 year from now, I should be at about 100,000 subscribers, and I should be at least close to getting 10,000 views per week. But more than anything, like I said before, I just want to make better videos. I just want to make really good videos so that the people who do appreciate them even more. I think that would make me happiest.
Yeah. We feel like people are just all like numbers and 10,000 views on one video. In reality, it's like 10,000 people. And most people say, for example, yes, the algorithm doesn't like me. And I tell them, no, people who watch your videos don't like those videos. Thus, they watch like shorter. Thus, they don't click onto them. That's why YouTube algorithm is not recommending them. And when we take a step back and think okay, I'm just going to make an amazing video that the people who watched it are going to be like, well, this is much better than what I've seen on average about this niche. So I'm going to follow this guy instead of the other guys. What happens is that one view might have gotten you 30 views in the future because the guy is going to continue watching your videos. And when we think about when we can rationally look at our videos and say, okay, is this a good video? Is this actually adding value to the viewers' lives? And I feel like, things pile up faster, and that's where maybe the blow up happens. Because, people who watch your videos give these binge watching sessions to the other videos, and it just creates this upward spiral.
Yeah. And I think the other thing to remember if you're looking to get into this is just be careful of comparing yourself to other YouTubers. Like there's a certain amount of comparison that you want to do so that you're comparing notes. You're comparing, what is this person doing? What am I doing? What's the differences for that person that's making them more successful? We have a tendency to insert our self-worth into those comparisons. So comparing, modeling for the sake of strategizing and implementing things maybe that someone else is implementing and that's making them successful, all good stuff. And you should be doing that. The moment you insert self-worth into those comparisons, it's going to create problems. So, and what I mean by self-worth is nobody is better than you as a person because they have more success on YouTube, because their channel is bigger. It does not mean that. But I've been susceptible to slipping into that kind of thinking. And I know a lot of YouTubers who do get caught up in that. As soon as you have any little bit of that thinking, you just need to get rid of it right away. That will never help you. And I think people might be thinking, well, why would I ever do that? And because there's also a dopamine hit when you look at someone else who's maybe a contemporary of yours or who's in the same field, and you're doing better than they're doing, and you go, you like that good feeling of comparing yourself to that person. And again, you're playing that self-worth game so that when you do come across the person who's doing better than you, it gets, that comparison makes you feel small and inferior. That's that pendulum going back and forth is just going to wreck you. So don't do that. Only use comparisons as it will help you in your abilities and your skills, and then let it go. Yeah. That's probably the best piece of advice I can give anyone starting this.
I think taking that advice will be very difficult, right? because we are
It is hard.
designed to, look at the status and like numbers and imagine it like that. And that's why I think someone, who is not really improving his or her own videos and looking at other people and saying, just spend the time you're looking at other people into making better videos, improving one thing in each video that you make, and you'll get where you want to go faster instead of just comparing yourself.
For sure. Yeah.
Damon, I know you're a busy person, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I personally learned a lot, and when I look at podcasts, I don't really like looking at them as like, okay, how can we give much, knowledge to like small YouTubers? I want to look at it as like, how can I learn myself the most? Because if I learn myself the most, probably the people who are watching are going to learn a lot as well. So thanks so much for coming to the show, and we are going to be watching your channel from now on as well. And 1 year from now, we're rooting for your success.
Thank you. And it was a real pleasure being on. Like I said, I do love talking about this. So I appreciate you reaching out and having me on. And what I would also say too is the biggest teacher of all of this stuff is your own experience. Like you'll learn far more from just jumping out there and start creating content than you could learn from anything that I could say or anyone out there. Get out there, get the experience, and be okay with it not going well at first, because nothing you do for the first several times you're going to be good at. There's no real naturals, especially at this, because it's such a new thing. So get out there and allow your experience to teach you.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Damon's channel is going to be linked in the description down below. I would definitely highly appreciate it if you could check that out. Damon, anything you want to plug?
Just my videos. If you like my videos, then everything else that I'm up to, you'll have access to. You'll know it, and because like I said, I set that expectation that I'm going to promote what I'm doing. So if you go to my videos and you like them, built into that is the promotion. So I don't really have anything specific to plug, other than I did a live yesterday about willpower and discipline. I think most people get that completely wrong, how they think about willpower and discipline. The week before that, I did a video. I called it identity shifting. It's really where I focus, which is transformation, self-concept transformation. And I use NLP to do that. And I also put in pieces of a coaching session that I did with a client who had a transformation in the session. So if you're interested in that sort of thing and you're interested in transforming yourself, because if you want to transform your life, the real place you need to start is not by making more money, not by trying to arrange the objects around you to look and feel like you want it to look and feel. You have to start with yourself. You have to start with transforming yourself. And so that video gives a look into that. So again, if that's your sort of thing, definitely check out that video. It's a video. The title is about identity shifting demonstration, rapid identity shifting transformation. Yeah, check that out. That like I say, when I put out a video, I feel like it's my best video. So I feel like it's my best video that I've made so far. But the best is still yet to come.
Amazing. All these videos that Damon mentioned, I think 3 of them he mentioned, are going to be linked in the description. Definitely check his channel out. And thanks so much for coming to the show, man. I appreciate talking to you, and I hope to keep this relationship longer in the future as well.
Same here. My pleasure. I'm really impressed with what you're doing. So thank you for having me.
Check out Agent Gold AI for game-changing AI tools for YouTubers.